Okay, today we're moving on and we're going to do equations with variables on both sides. So we're adding more steps to the problem. Can you check all of these in your calculator though? Yes, in y equals. And we'll go over that 1 or 2 times today just to make sure y'all are remembering how to do it. Now, I wrote the steps up here for you so that you didn't have to go write it all, but let's go through the steps. Can you put that up, please? The first thing you're going to do is look to see if there's any parentheses. If there's any parentheses, you do have to deal with them first by doing distributive property. Okay? If there's not, then just skip that step. The next thing you're looking at is on the left side, are there any like terms I can combine? And on the right side, are there any like terms I can combine? And then this is the new step right here. Star that or highlight it. That's the new step that we have not done yet. This step says there's going to be an x on the left and an x on the right. Your job is to get all the variables to one side of the equation. Okay? I don't care if you move them to the left or the right. I generally will move them to the left because when we get into inequalities, you want the variable on the left, so it's just a habit I get into, but you do not have to move them to the left. You can move them to either side. Now, how does it say to move them? By adding or subtracting. A lot of students get confused with this because with variables, we're usually trying to get rid of the coefficient, and to get rid of a coefficient, we multiply or divide. But with this, we're trying to move the entire variable and coefficient to the other side. So we're adding or subtracting. And then it goes to a 7th grade equation. You get rid of the constant by adding or subtracting, and then you get rid of the coefficient by multiplying or dividing. Are y'all ready to learn? All right, let's look at the first problem. Are there any parentheses? No, pay attention. Are there any like terms on the left? No, on the right. So I got to skip these 2 steps. Are there variables on both sides? Yes, so the first thing I need to do is get all the variables to one side by doing what? So I'm going to go separate the left from the right just because I like doing that. What coefficient goes in front of this n?
1.
All right. I want to move the entire 1n to the left. Well, that's y'all's left. Okay? If I wanted to only move the 1, then I would divide by 1. But I want to move the entire thing. So cover this up. Only look at the 1n. How would I move a 1n? By adding or subtracting? If I add, I have 1n plus 1n is now 2n. Did I get rid of it over here? No. So if I subtract, did I zero it out on the right? Yes. So I'm going to subtract 1n on the right. But whatever I do to the right, I have to do to the left. This zeroes out. Do y'all agree? Now I'm just going to simplify before I move on. So I have 7. What kind of value does this 2 have? If you don't understand that, what can I do? Change. I have -2 minus 1, which is what? -3n. So minus 3n or plus -3n, whichever way you want to write it, equals. What kind of value does this 14 have? -14. Now, is this a 7th grade equation? Yes. So I'm going to get rid of what first? The constant or the coefficient? The constant. Now, I have a lot of students say this minus sign, and they're like, oh, I got to go plus the 7. That will not zero it out. 7 plus 7 is 14. So how am I going to zero out a 7? Minus 7. I bring down the -3n, and -14 minus 7 is -21. Now I need to get rid of the coefficient. How do I get rid of the coefficient? Divide both sides by -3. And -21 divided by -3 is positive 7. What do y'all think? Easy? All right, let's look at the next one. Are there any parentheses?
No.
Are there any like terms on the left? No. Are there any like terms on the right? No. Are there variables on both sides? So my first job is to move the variables to one side. Now, for the sake of us doing it the same way, I'm going to move it to the left. Would you get the same answer if you chose to move it to the right? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to move this 2D to the left. How would I zero out a 2D? Minus 2D. Whatever I do to the right, I got to do to the left. 2D minus 2D zeros out. Are y'all with me? 3D minus 2D is 1D, or just D. If you want to put 1D, you go for it. It's the same thing. Yes? All right. I'm going to get rid of the constant. How do I get rid of plus 8? Minus 8. So I have 1D, or D equals, and negative 7 minus 8 is negative 15. If you left a 1 in front of it, 1 times D is D. You're done. Questions? Try this one on your own. What's the first thing you had to do? Change if you want to, absolutely. Well, there was no parentheses, there was no like terms, so what's the first thing I'm going to do? Get all the variables to one side. How would I zero out a minus 9D? Plus 9D. I love that you change. It will keep you from messing up. Okay? So I have 6. What kind of value does this 4 have? So I'm combining negative 4 plus 9, which is positive 5D. I'm bringing the 16 down. Now I'm going to get rid of the 6, the constant. How do I zero out a 6? Minus 6. So I have 5D equals 10. And then I'm going to divide the coefficient to get D equals 2. Questions? Are we okay? Can I move on? All right, let's look at this one together. The first thing I say are there any parentheses? No. Are there any like terms? No. So I am going to move this variable to the left by zeroing this out. How would I zero out a negative 5.5s? Plus 5.5s. And I'm going to need my calculator for this one. So I need negative 4.4 plus 5.5. Did y'all get 1.1? So I have 1.1s. Bring down my minus 2 equals, what value does this 4.2 have? A negative 4.2. Okay, I have a coefficient and a constant. Which one do I get rid of first? How do I get rid of a minus 2? Plus 2. So I have 1.1s equals negative 4.2 plus 2 is negative 2.2. How do I get rid of the coefficient? Divide. So negative 2.2 divided by 1.1 is negative 2. So S equals negative 2. Okay, let's do this one. Y'all do this one, but do not move on. We got to talk about the next one before we do it. Go do this one on your own. Do not move on. If you get confused, you can look at the board. How did we do? Good? Now, I want to talk to y'all about special equations before we move on. So go back up to the top, and do you see where I typed special equations? Special equations. Now, I taught y'all how to solve equations in your calculator, yes? What is the calculator doing to solve the equation? What is it doing? It's graphing it. Does everybody agree? And the answer is where the two lines intersect. So here's my question. What if they never intersect? What are those called? Those are called parallel lines. So if they never intersect, would there be an answer? No. That you would get no solution. So here's the deal. I'm going to show y'all. If you have slopes that are the same. Now we're going to learn a whole lesson on this, so you don't have to understand this. I just want to show you. When y'all were in 7th grade, y'all learned y equals mx plus b, yes? And the m was the slope. That's how slanted, how steep it is. And this is the y-intercept. If the slopes are the same, that means they're parallel. So I'm going to show y'all. I'm just going to graph a picture. So let's say I have 2x plus 3. And I also have 2x minus 5. Are the slopes the same? If I hit graph, you're going to see a pair of parallel lines. I'm really zoomed out. Let me go zoom in so y'all can see. Okay, now you'll be able to see the parallel lines. Do you see that they're parallel? If I tell the calculator to solve this by hitting second trace option 5, enter, 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 it gives me an error because there is no answer. So all you have to do is look at the graph and you'll say, you know what, those are parallel lines, there's no solution. When you're solving it by hand, you'll end up with an answer that looks something like this. 0 equals any number in the world. So if you get 0 equals another number, like 8, that means there is no solution. So you can either write the words no solution, or you can draw a circle with a line through it. If you put 0, that means there is a solution of 0. That means they intercept at 0. So you have to do a 0 with a slash through it. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Now here's my next question. What if the slopes are the same and the y-intercepts are the same? Those are the exact same what? When I graph that, what is it? It's going to be the exact same line. Are y'all with me? So everybody watch it graph this. The first one's going to be blue. The second one's going to be red. So here goes blue. Here goes red. They're on top of each other. That means they intersect everywhere. They intersect here, 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 here. You see what I'm saying? That means any number in the world is an answer. All of them are going to work. So if you end up solving a problem and you get 0 equals 0, the answer is all real numbers. So you can put an R in little quotations, or you can write infinite solutions. Now, again, we're going to have a whole lesson over linear equations and mx plus b, so if you don't understand or remember this, it's really okay. It just helps you understand when you're solving these equations why you're getting no solution, because they're parallel, or why you're getting all real numbers because they're on top of each other. So I want y'all to look at this next problem. What is the first step say? Parentheses. Are there any? No. What does the next step say? Okay, so look. Are there any like terms on the left? Are there any like terms on the right? Yes. So this is 8 plus, what's 2v plus v? 3v. And over here I have 3v plus 8. Are those the exact same thing? Yes or no? So the slope is the same and the y-intercept is the same, yes? So if I graph those, it's going to be a line and another line that falls on top of it. Are y'all with me? That means the answer is going to be all real numbers, but let's pretend we don't know that and let's go solve, okay? What would the next step be? Get all the variables to one side. Okay, so if I move this plus 3v by subtracting, what happens over here? 3v minus 3v is? 0. This is zeroed out. Yes? So I got 8 equals 8. It's a true statement. That means no matter what I plug in for v, I could plug in a 1, I could plug in a 2, it's going to be equal. So my answer is all real numbers. Again, if their slopes and y-intercepts are the same, it's the same line, your answer is going to be all real numbers. Okay, flip to, go to the next one. Let's look at this one. Are there any parentheses? No. Are there like terms? Yes. So what is 4r plus r? 5r plus 10 equals 2r plus 6. Now, knowing what I taught you about slope and y-intercept, are these slopes the same? No. You're going to be able to solve it then. It's going to be a regular answer like r equals 10 or whatever. Okay, so let's go solve. I need to get all the r's to the left. So I need a 2r minus 2r. 5r minus 2r is 3r plus 10 equals 6. Are y'all with me? I'm going to get rid of the constant by subtracting. So I have 3r equals, and 6 minus 10 is negative 4. I'm going to divide by 3. And right there, I know that this is a repeating decimal because the denominator is a 3. So I'm just going to leave it like that. So my answer is r equals negative 4/3 because it is simplified. Or negative 1 and 1/3. Yes? Okay, let's look at the next one. Are there parentheses? Nope. Are there like terms? Yes. Can I combine 5g minus g? What is 5g minus 1g? So I have 4g minus 1 equals 4g plus 7. Now before we move on, I want you to think. In y equals mx plus b, the number that has the variable is the slope. Yes? Are the slopes the same? Are the y-intercepts different? That means these are parallel lines. Are y'all understanding that? These lines never touch. So the answer is going to be, they never touch. No solution. Let's go solve it. Let's pretend we didn't know that. Here we go. I would need to move this 4g to the left by subtracting. What is 4g minus 4g? 0. So I have 0 plus 7 equals negative 1. 0 plus 7 is 7. Does 7 equal negative 1? No. That means there is no solution to this problem. There is no solution to this problem. Your calculator will not solve these for you. You have to know if they're parallel lines, there's no solution. If they're a line on top of each other, all real numbers. Yes? Okay, flip to the back. Let's do 2-word problems. These are super easy. If you remember from 7th grade, mx plus b, you're going to have an mx plus b on the left and an mx plus b on the right. Okay? Hans needs to rent a moving truck. Suppose company A, so I'm going to highlight this in one color, charges a rate of $40 per day, and company B charges a $60 fee plus $20 per day. For what numbers of days would they cost the same? So here we go. Let's write an equation for company A. Here's A. How would you write $40 per day? 40x, or could I put 40d for days? All right. Company B. Now let's go do one for company B. Company B charges a $60 fee. Is that a rate or a constant? Constant. Plus $20 per day. Is that a rate? Yes. All right. How would I write that? 20d plus my one-time fee of 60. Now, how do I know that I'm putting an equal sign in the middle? It says for how many number of days will the cost be the... So I put an equal sign in the middle and I solve. All right, look at them. These are the slopes, yes? Because they have the variable. Are they the same? No, so I can solve this. It's solvable. So I'm going to subtract 20d to get it to the left. I have 20d equals 60. And then I divide by 20. And 60 divided by 20 is 3. Is that a good answer? D equals 3? This is a word problem. 3 days. All right, I want y'all to try to set up the next one on your own. Remember, you're comparing two things. Over here, you're going to put non-members, and over here, put members. All right, try to do it on your own. Did everybody at least get it set up? All right, let's read. Suppose a video star charges non-members $4 to rent each video. Did y'all hear that word, each? That means it's a rate. How would I write that? Or for V, if you want to use a variable that represents what we're talking about. All right, a store membership cost $21, and then members only pay $2.50 to rent each video. So which one of those is the rate? 2.50 times each video plus the fee of what? 21. For what number of videos will the cost be the... So I put an equal sign. All right, I want to get rid of this V and bring it over here, so I'm going to subtract 250V. 4 minus 2.5 is 1.5. V equals 21. And then I divide by 1.5, and V equals 14. Now, why do I like to use V instead of X? Because I know how to label at the end. That's why I like to do it. Because at the end, that's telling me I'm going to label videos. So my answer is 14 videos. All right, I'm going to pass out your assignment.